the juniors. So when we talk about the PowerPoint, we are basically talking about the juniors, and the juniors are those of the age of 10 years, 11 years. Those are the children we are talking about for the PowerPoint, and 12 years for our case. And so I will invite you to read through the characteristics of the junior child. This junior child is the one reading the lesson called PowerPoint. Now, because of time, I will not go through all this presentation. You need to be in mind that they have their different juniors. The juniors are the children of 10, 11, 12, and they are reading the PowerPoint lesson. It is to our big worry that these lessons of PowerPoint are very few, very minimal. This class of juniors, they are many times forgotten in our Thaba school. The teachers, together with the parents, mind a lot, maybe attending the beginner lesson, the kindergarten lesson, the primary lesson, but the PowerPoint lesson, these are the least ordered copies. And so it is with our deep cry that you attending today's presentation, you can put in consideration the PowerPoint lesson. The PowerPoint lesson has the teacher's guide and the student's guide. The PowerPoint lesson has a part for the parents and very well outlined. And so, dear participants, we want to invite you to read more about the PowerPoint lesson for the junior, the 10, 11, 12. Now, why is this lesson very, very important? It is very, very important because when you look at the spiritual needs of the PowerPoint lesson, the juniors, when you look at their spiritual needs, they want Bible teaching to be practical, related to their life. And so these 10, 11, 12-year children who are reading the PowerPoint, they want practical things. They are growing in their life. They want to make a decision for Jesus. They are being prepared for baptism. But many times, we get this age category of 10, 11, 12 to read the primary lesson. Or we are dividing them up in the kindergarten lesson. And so we are requesting that, please, in all the classes that should not miss in your local church, the PowerPoint lesson read by the juniors is very, very important because these children are ready to make salvation decisions. They are developing their consciousness. This is when they start feeling whether the church where they are worshiping from loves them or not, cares for their needs or not. And so we need to be very careful with the juniors in order to ensure that the PowerPoint lesson is available for them to study. So when you go through the PowerPoint lesson for the teacher's guide, it is very, very interesting. Make sure that when you go through, when you get your PowerPoint lesson, read through the developmental needs, get the spiritual needs of these juniors, and then get through their characteristics. Just because of time, I want you to get the major things that are found in the PowerPoint lesson. Now, these are the things that are very common and very essential in the PowerPoint lesson for the juniors. Number one, the PowerPoint lesson is pointing out 3 or 4 items. We have what we call the community. The PowerPoint is focusing on 4 areas. The first one is the community. The second one is talking about the power text. When you take an example of lesson 1. Lesson 1 in the PowerPoint, the one we are going to study next Sabbath, it has the heading always there. But what are the major things that are found in the PowerPoint lesson? You will find our fundamental beliefs. Now, the 10, 11-year children, the 12, they are studying the SDA fundamental beliefs. Now, the 28 fundamental beliefs are all embedded in the PowerPoint quarterly lesson. And so, each lesson in PowerPoint will be identifying the particular fundamental beliefs that are being addressed. When you take an example of our lesson 1, which has a heading always there, this lesson called Always There, lesson 1, is pointing out the 3 fundamental beliefs as you see them about the Holy Spirit, number 5, fundamental belief number 17, the spiritual giftedness and ministries. It's also talking about fundamental belief 9, the death, life, death, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. When you're teaching the PowerPoint lesson, it has what we call the power text. Because these are juniors, even their language changes. They are not calling it memory verse. Beginner, kindergarten, primary, they call it memory verse. But when you come to the PowerPoint lesson for the juniors, they call it power text. So when you're going to teach, the PowerPoint is very lovely lesson. I love it. It is so loving. The term changes, power text. The other key issue when you're teaching the PowerPoint lesson are the references. Now, throughout our lessons, beginner, kindergarten, primary, PowerPoint, there are references. These references range from the scriptures. They have the Spirit of Prophecy books. For example, lesson 1, the Spirit of Prophecy books, you are supposed to read as a teacher. Before the lesson, you are supposed to read the book, The Desire of Ages, chapter 12 and chapter 13. You have to read the Spirit of Prophecy book called The Acts of the Apostles, chapter 5. And then the Bible story book. And so you, the teacher, the PowerPoint Teacher's Guide is giving you all this so that you're well equipped to talk to these children of 10 years, 11 years, because they are making a strong decision. They want facts. These children, you'll not go to the class and read the lesson from there. We must have prepared enough. And so, dear teachers, as you prepare the PowerPoint lesson, make sure you know the lesson, you've read the lesson, you know which fundamental beliefs are being addressed, know what is the power text, what are the key references, have you read them as the teacher before you teach the students? Then what are the objectives of that particular lesson? You need to know the objectives so that as you teach, you're keeping in mind the objectives of that lesson. What would you love your children to learn at the end of the lesson? And then the other important part in every lesson, when we take out an example of lesson 1, is what we call the Bible lesson at a glance. We have heard this from our presenters. Read this area. It will help you to get the right concepts of the lesson. Teacher enrichment. This part will help you, the teacher, to know more about that particular story. The unfortunate part of when you read the student guide only, you will not have all these options to enrich yourself. And so teacher enrichment will help you as the teacher for PowerPoint lesson to read more about that particular lesson so that you are well versed. And so, friends, when we talk about PowerPoint lesson, it is addressing the needs of children of 10 years, 11 years, and 12 years. And these children are making decisions for Jesus. So it pains us a lot when these children are studying kindergarten, primary, yet they're supposed to study their PowerPoint so that they are able to make strong decisions for Jesus. So we will ask you again to make sure that you read through the PowerPoint for the teacher's guide lesson, and you'll be very, very well equipped. Fine, as we come to the conclusion, we have the other lessons. We may not have time to talk about all of them here. We have the other lesson called the real-time faith. When you talk about the lesson called the real-time faith, the real-time faith is addressing the teens now. It is addressing the children of 13 and 14, because Children Ministries is ending at 14 years. And so these lessons are taken up by Sabbath School Department, because for the Children Ministry, they'll provide it up to PowerPoint. And so you need to get another lesson called the real-time faith. We will be providing you with the material for the real-time faith teacher's guide. The other lesson that I may not fail to talk about is a teacher's guide called the Cornerstone. Now, the Cornerstone is addressing the adults, the 15 years, 16. They read the Cornerstone. Now, all this, the good news we have for you is we have all, and we are going to share them on all the different social platforms so that they can get them. And if you're interested to get a teacher's guide copy, you can still make your orders with us. They'll be available for only those who have ordered for a print. The print does not go beyond 10,000 shillings. 10,000 shillings to get a hard copy of the teacher's guide. And so when you are a children's coordinator in your local church, make a budget of at least 60,000. At least 60,000 can enable you to get 6 teachers' guide: beginner, kindergarten, primary, PowerPoint, real-time faith, Cornerstone, so that you can be able to be equipped. Don't make a budget of buying a lesson of 3,000, you the teacher. No, you'll be failing to reach out to your children in your local church. So because of time, we may not do all those presentations, but I've talked about the highlights of the availability of these teachers' guide.
Mami Waiswa, excuse me.
Yes, please.
Madam Mrs. Kalule Allen has requested that you remind us the ages of different classes. He has sent a chart. Ages for each class.
Okay, is there any other concern? Any other question? So I can answer all at once.
Someone was asking how they can access these books and at how much.
I think she has answered that one.
Okay. You can access this, that will give you the soft copy, and then if you can print them at your convenience, but we will be providing a hard copy, which is at least 10,000, does not go beyond 10,000. We yet to find out from our printer, we had given the task to Central Uganda Conference. We'll get back to all of you again so that you can be able to place your orders. And then somebody asked about the different class ages. Okay, we have 0 to 3 who studied the beginner class. So make sure you have the beginner teacher's guide, 0 to 3. Then 4 to 6, that is kindergarten. 4 to 6, kindergarten. They study kindergarten lesson. Make sure you get the kindergarten teacher's guide and then the kindergarten student guide. And then 7 to 9, that is primary. 7 to 9 year children are studying primary lesson. So there's a student guide and a teacher's guide. And then PowerPoint, they are studying 10 to 12 years. 10 to 12 years, they are studying PowerPoint lesson. And this 10 to 12 years, these are called juniors. They are called juniors. And then we have the ones we call the early teens. The early teens, these are 13, 14. Those ones are about to leave children ministries. Now they can either study PowerPoint or the real-time faith. So we have the real-time faith lesson also. And then the cornerstone is for the young adults. Is for the 15, 16. Those are the cornerstones. And then we have the other lessons called the inverse. The inverse is the lesson which replaced the commonly known as collegiate quarterlies. The collegiate quarterlies was replaced by a lesson called the inverse. Now the inverse lesson will also be sending you the inverse lesson. The inverse lesson is mainly taken up by the young adults, those in secondary, in tertiary institution, in universities, in colleges, those senior youth, they study a lesson called the inverse. So make sure each age category in your local church is studying. But the very crucial point is they need to be helped by the teachers who have studied and using the teacher's guide. So the major aim of today's meeting was to help you appreciate to use teacher's guide and not student's guide. Thank you so much.
Mami, there is another question here from Madam Amthaire Sharon.
Yes.
From the chat here.
Yeah, I can see.
Oh, it is from Madam Waiswa Nehemiah. What about use of video about the lesson? How is it effective? From Waiswa Nehemiah.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Nehemiah. The beauty of the church is it's very organized. Now we have the short video clips for the beginner, kindergarten, primary that the Grace Link provides. We will encourage you to, because we need you to be very creative and help make the lesson meaning to the children in your local church. You can go further to download these demonstrated videos from the Grace Link lessons, Grace Link website. Go to Thaba School, General Conference, Thaba School Department, get to Grace Link lessons. It will take you to get the particular right lessons or in video form. It is good. But again, the challenge is you showing the children the video before explaining the lesson to them. That is very dangerous. They'll only enjoy but they don't know the real, they'll not take the real gist of the message. Yes, I think it was Teacher Lydia who was explaining the kindergarten children, for example. They're very good to cram things even they don't understand, or to grasp things they've not really understood, but they'll memorize them. So we need to be very keen about the video part. The video part is good, but it is good only when you have done the other thorough teaching following the total hour learning. Okay, friends, our time is up. We have one other short thing to do before we pray. I can see many hands are still here. Jackie, could you talk to us? Jackie, I can see your hand up.
Mommy, as Jackie comes in,
Yes.
there is Techno Common has asked, what if the child didn't attend the first classes and is 9? Do I have to put him in the primary class?
Okay. If the child has never attended any class and he is 9, let him study the lesson for the 9 year. The 9 years, which lesson are they studying?
Primary.
Yes, they are studying the primary. So let the child study, because you not say now, because for you are 9 years and you didn't start the beginner, let's go back and start the beginner lesson. No, the age is the right age, has the very characteristics of that particular age. So let the child study that lesson. As long as the teacher will have prepared well, this child will be able to understand. Thank you. Thank you, Brother Nehemiah. I can see Emmanuel and Winnie Baraza. What can we do about the lack of teachers? This is the reason why we end up having one class for all ages. Oh, you are right. This is
there is another question. Mommy, there is another question here. What can we do about lack of teachers? This is the reason why we end up having one class for all ages.
Yes. Okay. What can we do to have teachers? Now, the moment you realize that you have children and the parents are there, let us take the initiative in our various local churches to help parents love to minister to their children. This is a very big problem that we have started fighting on. Let the entire church focus on the children first before they focus on their individual spiritual life. The problem we are having today is we have church members who are very selfish. We are very selfish. We want to benefit our spiritual lives ourselves and forget our children. Many times when we conduct these children lessons, children seminars in the various entities, we encourage parents, please, how would you sit in the adult lesson discussing while the children of primary are running about? They don't have a teacher. It pains a lot, my friends, those children, and those children are praying negatively for us, the adults, when we are seated in our churches. And so if you know that you have one children's teacher in your church, please let you all take up the initiative and help parents come on board to help teach children so that they are oriented. We adults, study your lesson. Study your lesson throughout the week. Know what it is all about. Study the child's lesson and go and help the children in your local church. But many times we are very selfish. We just tell the children, go to your church. While for you are going to your adult lesson study, you don't know whether the children are learning. To make matters worse, they do not even learn at home. And so we have a very big case to answer before the king when he comes back. Where did you leave your children? And so it is very, very tough. So this mobilization and trainings, we will continue so that we create more and more sensitization to help parents to come on board. So that the children ministry classes have more than 2 teachers. Can you imagine? Beginner, 2 teachers, kindergarten, 2, all that. So if it means a church of only 15 members, if they decide to leave their adult lesson and attend to the children, yes, that is the best. Okay. Let us listen from
Jackie.
Jackie. Jackie, are you there?
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Madam Waiswa, for organizing this meeting. I'm called Jackie from Bulova SDA Church. I was only inquiring, do we have the Luganda version? Because we have some teachers who are comfortable with the Luganda for them to understand better before they can deliver. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Sister Jackie. The translations, it is the role of our fields and the conference to do majorly the translations of the lessons. So I believe for Central Uganda Conference, they might have translated. I don't know if Teacher Esther Suga is here, can let us know, but all I knew is they translated the children's lessons. I'm not sure if the teacher's guide was translated. It's a big initiative to make the translations, but we have begun on them. Okay, thank you, Teacher Jackie. Mrs. Rita Walugam. Madam Rita, are you there? Okay. Yes, I can see the hand of Esther.
Hello.
Yes. Yes, please.
Yeah, it's me, Rita Walungama.
Yes, please.
Hello.
Yes,
Rita Walungama.
Yes, you can go on.
Now, my problem is our teachers. Some of our teachers are not educated, but they're interested in what? Children's ministry. So we find a problem teaching children what is needed. Give us some advice.
Pardon, I didn't get the question well.
Yeah, the problem is that we have teachers who are interested in, okay, or let me say, parents and
Yes, you can go on.
other teachers who are interested in teaching children, and our educated teachers are not interested in educating. Really? Yes? You are hearing.
I think her question is, they have people who are interested in serving in a children ministry, but don't have knowledge and skills of teaching. How can they be helped?
Okay, thank you so much, Sister
Rita.
Yes, true. There are those who are interested to teach, but they don't have the knowledge. Now, gather those who are interested to teach, and then find out which nearby teachers, or contact your conference field children ministries leader to help you come and orient. You can first do an orientation at district level. District level, you are more nearer to the children, to the children teachers, so that you can be able to help them. So make sure that those interested, enlist them, and then find help from a nearby children's coordinator who can help you to start. Meanwhile, you can move forward to liaise with the children coordinators at district level, at your local church board level, to find help in how to teach these children, so that you will be able to help them to cope up with how to teach the children in your classes. The other problem I think she talked about is there are those who are already qualified. They are teaching children from Monday to Friday in the other government, private schools, but they're not interested in teaching. today we've realized many of them are coming on board, and they're helping us a lot. Yeah, that is why we even have a teacher Lydia, one of our presenters today. She's a headmistress of one of the big schools I know here, but she has dedicated and brought all her skills into the ministry, and we are getting the blessing of that. And so encourage those qualified already to help in the coordination of the children ministries project. Sometimes they're not given the tasks of children, leading out children ministries in their local churches. So that could be another way of not involving them, but then they can be involved to help and plan better for children ministry in the local churches. Okay, Brother Tony Achi.
Thank you very much for this elaborate presentation. You really have touched many gray areas of the children ministry that have not been dealt with over time. But my concern is on localizing the children materials. You know, when the question was raised about those who are not either literate or who are schooled in children, in handling children, but they have the zeal to be part of the children ministry. I think one of the ways that they can easily work with the church at this level is when some of these materials are localized and if possible, translated into local languages where children, especially those in the rural areas, can also learn in their mother tongue. I think it will go a long way to help those teachers as well, while they get orientation at the various levels of the church organizational structure. That's my contribution. Thank you very much for this workshop.
Okay, thank you so much, Brother Tony Achi. Oh, maybe we would love to know, where are you attending this Zoom from? Are you within Uganda? We cannot hear you. We did not hear you because you are muted. You unmute, please, so that we can hear you.
Yeah, I'm attending from Nigeria.
Thank you. Welcome, Brother Tony. Thank you for attending this workshop. May God bless you. True, we have the initiative of localizing the materials so that we can have them. It's a big concern. We will need to team up and translate, especially also the teacher's guide, in order to help the teachers in the rural places. But for Central Region and many parts that can hear Luganda, the initiative has been started on. Okay. Thank you so much. Friends, we want to come to the end of this presentation. I don't know, teacher, before we get another hand, is teacher Wawire Phoebe there?
No, she's not.
She's
not here.
She's there. She's called Foibeta Musuza Wawire. She's on. I don't know if she's there. Teacher Wawire Phoebe, are you there?
She's there.
She's
Okay.
there. She's there.
Teacher Wawire Phoebe, are you
Yes, please.
there? Okay, we will invite you to make a presentation, I think in 3 minutes.
Yes, to make 3 minutes. I'm glad to get this chance, but my presentation is longer than that. I wonder how I can summarize it to that limited time given to me. Otherwise, I thank the previous presenters. May God bless you. I hope you are hearing me.
Yes,
Do you
okay.
We
mind
can hear you.
sharing your video?
Okay.
I was
Before
I
you
was-
come in, Teacher Fiber, just a minute. Dear friends, we have a lot for you. We want to summarize it in this way, that as we begin the second quarter, we have looked at the teacher's guide. Allow me to take you to another subject. That is about the children's second quarter sermons. So second quarter, we will be having children sermons. These children's sermons can enrich the children on Sabbath in divine. This quarter, second quarter, we'll be looking at sermons on stewardship. We want to grow faithful stewards. That is why I asked Madame Phoebe to help us make a summary of these 13 lessons or sermons we are going to share with the children throughout the second quarter. We realize there is a big need, and this is an initiative here in Uganda Union to help the children have a study material for the sermons, for their divine, so that the teachers don't need to look up for stories. After teaching the other good material in Sabbath school, what else do we have? So I want to give Teacher Phoebe some few minutes. We'll ask you, dear participants, to lend us some 5 minutes so that we can have just a summary of this. We are going to share with you this material also. Madam Phoebe, you can go on.